Okay, let's go.
What do you have for me this week, Miss Anne?
Hello there, ChickChatters. We're back with another story of the week. This is an Am I the Asshole, but it's from 3 years ago from a deleted account. So we will not have any updates, I don't think.
This is a final story.
I don't think I'm going to be finding comments either from them. I mean, I'm going to look, but we'll see.
We shall see.
So it's titled, Am I the Asshole for Not Saying Anything About the Underwear?
About the underwear?
Yeah. It's like,
you know who this reminds me of?
What?
The underwear.
Oh, like the underwear story? I don't know if we can get into that.
I don't think we can.
It's not us, but
Not our story. That's why we can't get
it's not our story. I don't think we can say it.
Yeah.
Anyways, it starts, 20-year-old daughter and her fiance are currently staying with us. I love my daughter, but she is very difficult and I can't stand her fiance. I gave them a deadline to move out because I can't take this anymore. They got into a massive fight the other day while my wife was out. I guess a pair of my wife's underwear got in with their laundry and she thought he was cheating. I think the fact she immediately jumped to cheating shows how bad their relationship is. She was waving the underwear around and I recognized them because they had floral print, but I just let this ridiculous fight go on. My wife came home about 30 minutes later and said that they were hers. My wife asked if I didn't recognize that they were hers, and I accidentally laughed. My daughter burst into tears and won't talk to me. Her fiance said, "We're f***ed," and left the house, but my wife thought it was funny.
They are
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if your first thought, if you are living with another woman and for some reason some other underwear that looks like another woman's is in your underwear, if your first thought is, I bet it's the other woman I live with, if it's not that, you are not rational. I understand some things might be happening in this relationship to make her not rational. I don't know what those are, but this is not a rational relationship if that's the first thing that you're jumping to. If you live alone, that might be a different story.
Oh, for sure. And to have him bring somebody back to your parents' house or to do it somewhere else to bring this woman's laundry back in and wash it with theirs is very risky.
Yeah,
know?
That would be a mistake for sure.
I feel like everyone's the asshole because they're 20 and they're engaged, and I'm sure that it's not going to last. It doesn't sound like it's like solid or anything. I think the parents just need to wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of make it worse. I think that they just need to wait it out. I've just been in situations where you can't give people your opinion about who they're dating or what you think might happen if they date somebody, how things might end up, because they'll just then like bond more with that person and be like, no,
everybody's against us.
Everyone's against us. It's us against the world. It might not even be the other person's bad. It's just that it's just not a match.
Well, and that's why I'm not really mad at the dad in this situation. It sounds like he knew exactly what was going on the whole time and he got a little bit of entertainment out of it, which is not kind, that part. But I'm not mad at him for just letting this whole thing play out without intervening. One, because they're grown adults, and unless they're hurting each other, those are good boundaries to me. You shouldn't intervene, even if it's helpful. They need to come to that resolution on their own, whatever the resolution is, without dad's help. So I'm not mad at him for that. The other thing is, if this is how quickly things escalate, then this needs to happen too. They need to argue enough to say this isn't working. We're and figure something out. I think the dad did a good thing here, but I can totally see how it's hurtful to the daughter that he knew the whole time and didn't stop this, but he would not be doing anyone any kind of service. So good for him for just leaning into their screaming and getting entertained by it instead of, there's a lot of other things he could have done here. So I think the dad is the hero here.
I think he did a very dad thing. I think that's a very dad move. I don't
totally chill, cool, collected, unbothered.
I'm like, I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't my business.
Yeah, I got a football game to watch.
Yeah, I don't know if this lady that he's married to is the girl's stepmother or mother, but I know a lot of my mom's laundry looked like when I lived with her. So maybe, I don't know. I feel like I would recognize it if it was my mom's. Usually it's a whole different style, like older lady, silky kind of style.
Lacy.
Right.
Right. Yeah, my mom, I think, has the same style of underwear, just in, like, 3 different colors, like nude, white, and black.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
I used to do community laundry around here when we first moved here, and sometimes we would get like a random sock, and I'd be like, "Dude, what the fuck is this sock?" But I'd be kind of joking. But be like, we do our laundry like at the barracks or like the community laundry or whatever. We are gonna get sometimes somebody else's sock.
It's true. That reminds me, when Tyler and I lived in the apartment in Madison Heights, there was a T-shirt that still to this day I have no idea where it came from. So it must have came from the washer, either stuck on the side of the washer or from the dryer or something, because we had a communal washer and dryer. But I mean, we also had friends that would come over and stay with us sometimes and things like that. So we tried forever to figure out whose shirt this belonged to, but we could not for the life of us figure it out. I think we still have it somewhere. I need to have a garage sale. Could make a buck. But I'm telling you right now, my first thought and Tyler's first thought was not, you must have been in this house sleeping with somebody and they left their shirt here, because that's not rational. That's just not the first thing that you should jump to.
Well, unless it's happened before, I don't know.
True, but that would be rational if it's happened before. But if you just find a shirt or a piece of underwear or whichever, just ask a question of, could this be anything else, before you start acting like a maniac. Especially if you live with somebody else. Jiminy Cricket.
Well, and you live with your parents too. They obviously don't like him, but the second they hear all of this nonsense, it's not gonna help your case.
No.
To marry him, if y'all are really engaged at 20 years old. I mean, girl, give yourself a little bit of time. Like,
you got your whole life ahead of you.
The whole world, the whole decade. And that's your good decade. That's before all the health problems that we were talking about before podcasting kick in.
Yeah.
We will not even touch that with a stick.
This is the dad that's asking. This is from his perspective.
This is from
he's wondering if he's the asshole, if he should have spoke up sooner.
I'm guessing he's wondering if he was the asshole for not being like, nah, those are your mom or Carol's or whatever's underwear, you know. I know those booty.
I know those undies. Those is my undies.
I know those undies. I've seen them. They're floral. I know.
Can you imagine the awkwardness of your dad coming between you and your fiance in a screaming fit, being like, "These is my undies," grabbing them and walking away? What do you mean? This man's not gonna do that.
This is your mother's undies. What are you doing with them?
Your mother's underwear.
Honestly, yeah, like, what was the good choice in this situation? He was supposed to interrupt a fight just to be like,
"You're kind of crazy."
Like, what's the real problem here?
And you know what? I feel like this dad, if they don't like her fiance, then never in a million years is he gonna want to break up a fight where she's mad at him.
Well, and you know what? Here's the thing. They're living under his roof, right? Move out. You know, move out. Give this man his house back. And then if there's some other woman's undies in your underwear and all that, then you got a problem. But then give your parents a break then, if you're going to be mad about them not intervening in your arguments. Like, geez.
Right. Right.
It seems like the mom came home 30 minutes later, kind of settled this real quick, and then asked him, why didn't you say anything? So it's not like it was like a ton of time later. It's not like this dad was sitting on it for a week and was going to keep it to himself. Maybe he was going to bring it up later, you know, when they stopped arguing. Maybe at breakfast or something, like, yeah, you know, those underwear are your mom's. That's something a dad would do.
After they break up over it. Well, you know, those were mom's, right?
Just didn't want to interrupt. I'm not mad at him for just kind of keeping to himself, but I'm kind of just feel like everybody might suck. I don't know.
Well, I think from the daughter's perspective, she could absolutely think her dad did something that makes him an asshole in that moment. I think to anyone else who's not emotionally affected by this whole relationship, I think the dad totally did the right thing. I think he did what every other dad would reasonably do in this situation.
Like, even the laughing at the reveal, you didn't recognize him, and he's just like...
I can't tell you how many times I've come to my dad in full angry or sad hysterics, and he just laughs at me. I think that's what they do. They're like, what's the problem? What you mad for?
I feel like men, after they hit 40 or something, that's like what they're programmed to do.
Yeah, they just, they're gone. They're already dispensed.
When you're on your way out, will you get me a Pepsi?
Yeah.
Pepsi.
Make me a sandwich. grilled cheese.
I'm not mad at him. I can see where she's upset, but I don't know. I just feel like it's so silly. The underwear mix up. I think she's upset that he laughed about it instead of just being like, oh, I mean, I just was going to wait it out. I think later on she would have lightened up about it. I mean, especially once she's out of this relationship with this guy, she'll probably be like, well, that was a funny story. But my dad would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or he might walk up and say, these are your mom's, I've been looking for these, or these are mine, or, whatever. So I could see that as well. But, if the dad did know in the past she has been cheated on by this guy, then it might be kind of more of a dick move.
It could be triggering, yeah. But again, I just don't see the dad putting himself in a position to feel like he's sticking up for his daughter's fiance that he don't like. So
well, it doesn't mean he was never going to say anything. It's only been about 30, 40 minutes. Give the man some time.
Wait for your mom to come home so she can talk to you. So I can.
Yeah, he didn't even get to sleep on it.
I really don't see the problem here. I think that the daughter and her fiance are the most egregious of actors here, but I don't also think that they were doing anything wrong necessarily. Relationships at that age are touchy, and doing it in front of your parents is always going to lead to judgment. So I just wouldn't recommend any of this.
So your vote is not the asshole.
I think this dad is not the asshole. I don't think the daughter is I don't think anyone here. I vote no assholes. I vote this was a family debauchery. Unavoidable.
Well, the fiance might be an asshole because something's going on there.
I could agree. Yeah, there's something going on in this relationship that we obviously don't have all the information about. So that also makes me pause at saying that the daughter or the fiance were in the wrong because I don't really know the backstory. I don't even know if this dad has a legitimate reason for not liking this fiance. But from what I've heard, I think that everyone here was just trying to live and everyone was doing their best.
Probably making assumptions, but the guy is 20 years old, engaged to your daughter, and living under your roof. Doesn't sound very promising. So that's probably
he wants to pour gasoline on that fire. I'm telling you, I cannot see the dad stepping in and trying to stop that argument. He wants the argument. He wants the breakup.
Oh, I'm sure he's got a slew of reasons.
Yeah.
He doesn't care for this guy between him not taking out the trash, not probably playing video game. Like, who knows what this guy is doing all day in his house.
The typical dad arguments when you're 55 and he's 20.
And he's engaged to your daughter. Like, oh my gosh, no.
Living in your house, arguing with her.
Yeah. Top comments at 59,000 upvotes. You might be the asshole, but I'm living for it. Edit, my personal verdict is you're the asshole, but I like to invoke Shitman versus Frickboy, which states that in times of outlandish or otherwise infantile behavior, assholery may be subject to scrutiny be permitted.
Assholery?
Like, sometimes being an asshole might be permitted in certain situations where it might normally not.
So assholery is equal to f***ery.
Outlandishly.
Indubitably.
A lot of people are saying that he's the asshole. And
I couldn't argue with that perspective, especially if you're thinking from the eyes of his daughter. But just like the first person said, I'm living for it. I don't think he's wrong. If we can say someone can be the asshole and also not be wrong. But people are probably making good points. What are they saying?
Well, there's some people just sharing similar stories, but someone says, not the asshole, it's not your fight either. Also, it's wild that your daughter would think that her fiance was bringing girls into your house, her own parents to cheat on, and accidentally leave underwear there. That's hilarious, and I would probably have laughed too. If I lived with another woman and the same thing happened to me, I would assume they were hers before anything else. My significant other and I keep our laundry separate, and stuff of his still ends up in mine. All the time.
Yeah, it's laundry. Things get stuck to the washer. Things get stuck in the dryer. You lose a sock and magically it appears 3 months later. The dryer is a magical place. We don't question the dryer.
Yeah, Dean's convinced I'm just stealing his socks, but I'm like, no, they just want to come into my load all the time.
We have a front loader too, and there's like a gasket or a seal on the front. And sometimes socks and little items will get stuck in that seal sometimes. I mean, I've looked in there before and saw like 2 or 3 socks up in that thing. So who knows?
Something else. Everyone's the asshole. Can't complain about people fighting when you could have stopped it, but you don't deserve to have an angry couple in your home.
Okay, fair.
Someone else said, not the asshole. You made a great point. If her first instinct is to accuse him of cheating, despite living in a household with another woman, meaning your wife, then they have major problems and they should definitely work on those before getting married. Honestly, it's pretty amusing that you let them ride it out on their own without your input.
I know. So tell me some people that say he's the asshole. What are they saying? What's their beef?
Someone said, I'm stuck somewhere between everyone's the asshole and not the asshole. It's not your fight. Your daughter sounds like a piece of work, and it sounds like they have some serious issues. However, you had the power to step in and easily resolve that specific conflict. Not to mention, she was waving your wife's underwear around the house. I mean,
It's not his job to solve her conflicts anymore. She's fully engaged 20-year-old adult.
And she's just waving him around the house. It's not like she's waving him around the store or something. Like, it's not that serious.
Underwear. It's clean underwear. It's not like a taboo.
I don't know. Maybe I've just seen some things, but I just don't see that.
Right.
But someone said you're the asshole. I don't know what difficult means. So if it was more info on what exactly your daughter's done that is so awful, maybe that can change. But I'm saying you're the asshole because you just sat back and let your daughter believe that someone she loves enough to marry had deeply hurt and betrayed her. You sat there and laughed quietly to yourself and enjoyed her pain. Again, I will acknowledge that maybe it's an everyone sucks here situations, but you should seriously examine why hurting your daughter is funny to you. Is that amusement worth the damage to your relationship with your daughter? Do you think the potential long-term consequences are worth it? Or should you maybe get over it and reach out with a sincere attempt at talking out your problems like adults? She went from thinking her fiance had betrayed her to knowing her father would let her believe a lie like that because he thought her suffering was funny. Funny does not mean you didn't do something hurtful, and she is 100% justified in being unwilling to speak with you over this.
She's allowed to think he is an asshole, but I have enough differentiation from the situation to see this worked out the way it should have. So I'm not going to call him out for it. But I think, the poster made very good points. The daughter was in a state of crisis, and the dad could have easily stopped that. But again, you are engaged to be married to this man, to live with this man. And so your dad cannot be stopping every conflict that you're in, especially if you're the one starting it. This guy has to be, you guys have to work together. It's out of that dad's lane at this point, even though they live under their roof, for him, in my opinion, to be saying stuff like that. But I do understand that daughter's gonna be mad at him for a while, and she has every right to be. But I think he did a good thing.
I can see her being upset with him, but I think she will also get over that in due time as well.
Be thankful for it in 10 years.
For one, the dad didn't even have a lot of time. It's not like he was holding off on this for weeks.
This wasn't days and days.
It wasn't even an hour. He just kind of didn't say anything. He let it play out. If it got violent, I'm sure he would have stepped in, or I'm sure if something crazy was said, he might have stepped in. But I don't know. I think he was just hoping they break up. And sometimes
I don't blame him for that part either.
Sometimes we know people in our lives that are better off not being with that person. So even if you're like, oh, that's obviously not what that is, but whatever, I'll just let this play out because something's gonna play out anyways later on regardless. Might as well be the
the things burn themselves down. I don't think this dad wanted to take any part in the ending of this relationship or the fixing or mending of this relationship. He wanted nothing to do with it. He was already bad enough. He had to live with it.
Because then you're involved in it, and then you're part of it. Then when things happen, you're gonna be questioned more on things. So no, like that's not their place.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I do think that person made good points, but I'm gonna stick with my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think that also could have been setting the dad up. I mean, he could have been screwed either way. You never know how people are gonna react to stuff. She might have been reactive to him walking up and being like, "Oh, that's your mom's underwear."
She could have been like, "You're a liar. I know what all mom's underwear looks like."
Yeah, you never know.
Could you stick up for him? Yeah, you really don't know how that's gonna go, especially if he deems her quote unquote difficult, which I think is
Could be true.
A category in itself to discuss. I won't get into. I don't like people labeling their children, whether they're adults or not,
Yeah.
difficult. But I could see how, you might feel uncomfortable around her if she's difficult. So again, another reason to not barge into this conflict that she just created.
I think that it'll resolve itself, and I'm sure it has by now. It's been 3 years, so I'm sure it's resolved itself. And I just hope she's not married to that man or divorced or whatever. I hope that she's just
Single, happy, thriving.
graduated from college, something like that.
Mhm.
Someone said, "You're the asshole. You might not agree with her choice of boyfriends, but you could have saved her some grief here. You obviously hurt her feelings by laughing. What is done, and they might break up sooner or later, but for other reasons, you didn't have your daughter's back." I mean, I can like these. Sure, that's a point, but I don't know. I just feel like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Sometimes, he could have got himself involved, and then it could have been all blamed on him in some way. And then now it's all being blamed on him. So I feel like no matter what you do, you're kind of like damned if you do, did it, damned if you don't. I mean, it was resolved. The mom came up, said that's mine.
Right.
And it's resolved. Like, I don't see why be upset because somebody just didn't step in and correct it while it was a thing. Maybe they're just waiting because they didn't know if they should be stepping into somebody else's fight. I don't know. Sometimes that's not the smartest move. Maybe wait till everything's smoothed over, calmed down before you say something.
I think it just depends how you want to look at this situation, like what perspective you want to take. Because yes, in that moment, he probably didn't really have his daughter's back. He was kind of laughing at the whole thing. But I think, again, bigger picture, I think he did have his daughter's back. He stayed out of her business. He allowed her to have her own, agency in dealing with things, even if it's wrong. I think all of that is better than trying to step in and control the situation just because he's around.
And it all could have just hit him right in the ass,
For sure.
Definitely could have.
I'm sticking with my opinion, not the asshole.
Well, he was voted the asshole.
Okay. I think this is one of the first ones where we're very much not in agreement.
With the official vote?
Yeah. I think one of the first ones we had.
A lot of them have been not the asshole lately, or everyone sucks here or something like that, but they're also newer, so I don't know. But this one's they definitely think he's the asshole. So I wonder if that's why he deleted his everything.
Is it by a long shot? Don't they usually give a percentage?
I don't see a percentage at least. I mean, you can't vote on it anymore. The post itself had 40,000 upvotes. The top comment had 59,000 upvotes. So it was like pretty popular a couple of years ago. But I don't think he was the asshole. I think that it's just hard to know what's your lane when you're trying to stay in your lane.
Right. Especially there was a plethora of options here for this dad to respond, and he chose an option, and that's what happened. I don't think that was the best way to deal with it, but I don't think he's an asshole.
I can empathize with the dad just because when it comes to like your older, unteenaged, like your young adult but unteenaged kids that are just getting into adult, like it's hard to navigate those relationships because any step is a misstep for the most part that can trigger.
Yeah, everything is messy and wrong and different and dramatic. Again, that's why I think, in my opinion, you should try to stay out of it as much as possible so that your kids can figure out how to make things not messy and dramatic and crazy on their own. Otherwise, they're just going to be calling you every day until they're 70.
And unless this dad makes a joke out of this later in life, she isn't even going to remember this. I moved out twice because I got in an argument with my parents. I don't remember what the arguments were about. I moved out to a whole different house twice in my early 20s. Like that's just
we'll get over it. It'll be fun.
We say not the asshole, but Reddit says the asshole.
Yeah, so we definitely need to hear your comments, Chick Chatters. I think we should start our own new poll. So drop your comment below. Let us know what your opinions are. Do you think this dad is an asshole? I'm open to varying opinions, for sure.
Let us know, Chick Chatters. Subscribe, like, share, whatever.
Yes, happy to have you all here.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.